Hi campers, welcome back. Today we're doing another book, but we're gonna practice a reading strategy. Have you ever felt like you've read a book before, but when someone asks you how it went or what it was about, you don't remember how to tell it? We're gonna practice a reading strategy today called Tell a Friend. You can practice this with anyone in your family, in your house, even your dog, and I'm gonna practice with my dog today. So I'm gonna read a book, and I'm going to read it with you guys. And then I'm going to try to retell the story to my dog. And I'll show you how to do that when I finish. I picked out a book about a puppy because I have a puppy and I'm very excited about it. So this is called Clifford, the Small Red Puppy. I don't know if you guys know Clifford, but he's a big red dog. So this must be when he was a baby. Hi, I'm Emily Elizabeth, and this is Clifford, my big red dog. He doesn't look very small there. Yesterday, my friend Martha said, I got my dog from a fancy pet store. Where did you get yours? So I told her how I got Clifford. When I was little, I lived in the city. I didn't get to have a dog. That's sad. One day, the man came down the hall and called us. His dog had puppies. He wanted to give me one. One puppy was smaller than the rest. The man said, Don't take him, he's the runt. He will always be small and sick. But I loved that puppy and he needed me. Oh, that's nice. I named my puppy Clifford. He was so tiny that I had to feed him with the little doll's baby bottle. We got the smallest collar we could find for Clifford. Look how tiny he is. But it was too big. When he began to eat dog food, we had to watch him all the time. Look, he fell into his food bowl. Have you ever done that? Fallen into your food bowl? He was so little that he was always getting lost, even in our small apartment. And there, it looks like he's in his dad's shoe. Daddy said Clifford was just too small. He didn't think he could live through the winter. It was very sad. That night I told Clifford I wish he'd grow to be a big, healthy dog, and I told him I loved him. The next morning, he looked bigger to me. He seemed to have an easier time eating his dog food, and his collar wasn't so loose. In fact, by the time Dad got home, the collar was too small. Dogs grow fast, but not that fast. By bedtime, Clifford's tiny basket seemed a little too small for him. So I let him sleep on my pillow again. That was a mistake. The next morning, Mommy thought Clifford looked different. Daddy said, I think he is growing. I decided to take Clifford for a walk. At the corner, I saw a big dog coming. I thought I should pick Clifford up so the dog couldn't hurt him. I shouldn't have worried. Clifford was really growing. We ran home to show Mommy how big he was. Had our apartment door grown smaller? Daddy couldn't believe it. We put Clifford into the garden to sleep that night. In the morning, the lady upstairs called us. It was about Clifford. This is getting ridiculous, right, Georgia? In fact, all the neighbors were starting to notice him. The landlord called the police. They came to see Clifford. They said Clifford would have to go. But how? He couldn't even get through the door. There was just one way to get him out of our garden. We sent him to live with my uncle who lived in the country. Can't even fit in the moving van. I was sad. I missed my little puppy. And he missed me. One day we got a surprise. My uncle wanted Daddy to come to work with him in the country. We moved right away. Clifford was waiting for me. I said, Clifford, stop growing. You are just right. So I said to Martha, that's how I got my dog. Tell me again how you got your dog. Martha said, forget it. She probably said forget it because it's not as interesting as getting Clifford. Alright, so I liked that book a lot because it reminds me of when I first got my puppy. But now I want to tell a friend about what I read, and that will help me remember what the book is like and what the book was about. And here's a little trick. When I tell a friend, I can have the book with me and look at the pictures to remind myself of things that happened if I forget. So I'm going to tell Georgia here. She's kind of sleeping, but let's see if she'll look at me. Hi, Georgia. So I'm going to tell you about a book I read, and it reminds me of you. You're so tired. Can you sit up, little girl? So I want to tell you about a book I read, and it reminds me of you, and it's called Clifford the Small Puppy. So what happened in the book, even if the dog doesn't look at you, it's okay. What happened in the book is that this girl got a really small dog, and they didn't think he was going to live because he was so tiny. But what happened next? I don't really remember, so I'm going to use my book and just look at the pictures. So I see, oh yeah, the girl wanted to keep trying to keep the dog. So she fed him with a baby bottle, and she got him a collar, but he still wasn't growing. And since she was getting really worried before bed one night, she wished that he would get bigger. And when she woke up, he was a little bit bigger, and then he kept growing, and he kept growing, and he got so big that he couldn't even fit in the house anymore. I'm trying to think what happened next. I have to use my book again. Hold on. Oh, yeah. So they called the police, and the police couldn't do anything about it, so they had to move Clifford to the country away from Mary Elizabeth. But on the next page, I'm reminding myself with the pictures, even though they missed each other, soon later, Mary Elizabeth's dad got to move his job to the country so they could all move their family there and stay with Clifford again. And then in the end, the girl that was trying to joke about who kind of had the better dog and who got a better dog, she didn't really want to fight anymore because she knew that Clifford was the coolest dog. So see how I used even a dog to tell a story to? She wasn't a great listener, but now that I retold the story to a friend, I remember the story better. So if my mom or dad asks about the story later, or even a friend at school, I can retell them this book, so they might say, hey, I want to read that too. Try this tonight. You can do it with your Tomorrow I'll Be Brave book that you guys got in the mail, hopefully, from LifeCamp. Try to read it with your family or yourself if you can. And then find your mom, your sister, your dog, your grandma, and try to retell this story. But don't be afraid to look at the pictures to remind you of what happened. Thanks for checking in.